Hey guys, Def Not Hanzo here. After hours upon hours of trial and error, I can finally bring you a guide on a champion I've really grown to love, and that is Evie. I'm gonna leave some gameplay rolling in the background while I go over some things. So first, I have a couple disclaimers. 1. Hi-Rez released an official how to play guide for Evie in late August. I highly encourage you watch it first before this video. However, in patch 34, shortly after the release of that video, they nerfed her most popular playstyle, but we'll get into that in a moment. With my video, I'm going to try to overlap as little as possible with what they talked about, and I aim to expand on and go into deeper analysis of what makes a good Evie. Disclaimer 2. Evie is not meta right now. Her two major counters, Androxus and Cassie, are very popular at the moment, and there are much safer picks that grant faster results. She has a high skill floor and a high skill ceiling, meaning she's tough to learn, but the sky's the limit. There's a good chance you're going to feel useless to your team when you're trying to learn how to play her. But if that doesn't deter you, let's get started. Let's take a look at why Evie is generally looked down upon in the current meta. Here's the patch notes from OB34. Most people remember the nerf to Blink no longer being allowed during Ice Block, but there's way more to the picture than just that. Cripple preventing Blink is huge. Grover in particular can lock her down for 2 seconds with his crippling axe, which completely shuts down her Blink combo, getting her killed almost instantly. The nerf to Flight Speed made the card pretty much useless, and the Blink range nerf didn't help either. Let's be real though, the old Evie was pretty overpowered in the right hands. Her new playstyle is even more slippery, but has a few weaknesses unlike her old self. With that out of the way, let's talk about Evie's loadout. So as of OB36, the card Wormhole is generally considered mandatory. Wormhole adds a whole new dynamic to her playstyle where she can blink back to her original location. 2 points in this card allows 4 seconds of playtime before you can no longer blink back. The negative side effect to this is if you don't end up blinking back, it will now effectively be on an 8-second cooldown. This will be tough to transition to if you're not used to Wormhole already, but I promise you, the benefits far outweigh the cost. Healing when blinking is very useful when paired with Wormhole because whatever amount you heal for is double. You could potentially have 600 health every 4 seconds. The rest of the cards are up to you, but I personally prefer Duration on the sword to aid in chasing, escaping, and general survivability. Alright, so let's look at Ice Block. If you haven't relearned Evie since the changes, forget everything you knew about it. The secondary properties of the slow and the 30% bonus damage, it no longer exists. Ice Block is now used to dodge and absorb enemy fire. This means anticipating the enemy's next attack, Ice Block, and then quickly get out so you can continue firing or escape. There will be times when your Blink and Soar are on cooldown, and you want to stay in the Ice Block until your cooldowns come back up. This is fine, but never cook the full duration of the Ice Block. It lets your enemies set up around you and plan their headshots. Also, never blink directly from Ice Block. This is what trips most people up. You would think quickly timing your blink as you come out would be the best way to survive, but in fact it'll get you killed way more often. This is because blink has a 0.2 second delay before you actually teleport. What you actually want to do is jump right as you break out and either move left or right from your opponent to dodge their next attack. Also, try to time it with their reloads so they can't return fire anyway. I've compiled some clips that show everything I just mentioned. I close in on Ying, but before I can finish her off, I realize I'm going to die, so I soar out to my safe spot. I can hear Androxus chasing, so I blink away for the heal. I land a lucky shot on my way down, which allows me to follow up. Here's where Ice Block comes in. Using Ice Block here is sort of a no-brainer, but it won't always be so straightforward on when to use it. This next clip I'm pretty proud of, mostly because the Cassie in the enemy team was one of those players who just never seems to miss. I show respect for Cassie's ult vision here and dance around the rocks so she can't get the jump on me. I go for a few luck shots to no avail, but I catch her on my reverse blink. This is where the dream Ice Block happens. I close the gap, anticipate her primary fire blast shot knockback combo, and block all of it. This is a huge relief for me, but certainly doesn't win the fight by itself. It simply means the battlefield's a little bit more even. Without those abilities, she can still deal with me with dodge roll and primary fire alone. After I finish her off, I'm able to save the point and deal with the rest of the team. Here's a cool trick that's pretty useful against Makoa. This was against Stolzy while he was playing with his viewers on stream. Spam Ice Block as soon as you're hooked. The majority of the time you should be able to block the amplified damage. Here it is again. It has to be a pretty frustrating matchup for Makoa when done right. Here, I got a little too cocky and used my soar way too aggressively. I'm deep in enemy territory without soar available, which you should avoid by the way. But in this situation, what do? Stall time. Notice how quickly Stolzy whips back around to my original blink location. He also pulls me so that I'm facing his team. If you're facing a pesky Evie, do what he did and take mental note of her start point. This is one of the rare instances where cooking Ice Block is better, because I'm waiting on blink and soar's cooldown. I barely stall long enough, only surviving because Makoa missed as I jumped at the last second. Notice Makoa's hook sound in the background as he tries to chase me down. I lived because of the extra soar duration in my loadout. Small things like this in your build can save your life, because your opponent may not expect it to last that long. Overall, that entire engagement was beneficial for us, because I disrupted the enemy defenses while we safely pushed the payload uncontested. This is what flankers do, not just kills, but distraction and disruption. You won't see this number on a scoreboard, but your opponents will definitely know how much work you put in. This clip highlights the stalling potential for Evie. Moving as unpredictably as possible and using the payload to jump higher, I stalled just long enough for my team to save me. Victor's artillery strike is what allows me to safely escape during an ice block, because they're more worried about saving themselves than killing me at this point. I think I've pretty much beat Ice Block to death at this point, so let's move on to Blink and its relation with Wormhole. As I mentioned earlier, Cassie and Androxus are bad matchups for Evie. In this clip, we see how I fight both of them. For Cassie, I make sure to always fight at awkward angles for her. To land anything, I'm basically relying on her walking into my shots, which she eventually does. That's sort of how Evie works at anything other than point-blank range. You're at the mercy of prediction and luck. For Androxus, I just try to fight him indirectly. If he has his full attention on you, just avoid him. You only want to go after him if you have help from others or if he's waiting on cooldowns. I can use Soar aggressively here because my whole team is nearby to back me up. This is what makes Evie the best at chasing and finishing off fleeing enemies. No one compares to her mobility. For no particular reason, I'm just now getting around to showing you this, but here's the bread and butter of how to play Evie. This is the nightmare of every tunnel vision Victor out there. Pretty much anyone under 2500 health will get two-shot. Let's do a detailed breakdown of what happened here. I see Victor, so target acquired. I predict where he will be, and I blink in. 2 shots, dead, blink out. Wormhole is amazing. Hi kitty. The following clips are from Smidgen's stream, which was hosted on the official PlaDins Twitch channel. We'll see a lot of what I talked about in action. For those that don't know, both Stolzy and Smidgen are on Team Matchpoint, which is one of the leading NA teams at the moment. I'm the Evie on the enemy team.
Oh, yo, that guy turned fast, man. That was nice.
I turn fast because it's something I deliberately practice. I usually do some kind of warm-up before each match. I think everyone can benefit from that.
Oh, damn.
I have no idea what I was doing right here, by the way.
That dude's just chasing me now. Yo, we're gonna go Evie hunting here in a second. If this guy wants to 1v1, I'll 1v1, dude.
While this is rolling in the background, I want to touch on one last thing. Evie's ult is not a do damage button. Don't concern yourself with boosting its damage with blink unless it's actually convenient. It's also tricky because while channeling the ult, you can't do anything else but move and jump around. It can get you killed if your enemy is shooting at you while you're casting. I like to cast it mid-air while following, so I avoid that weakness. The biggest uses are disabling an entire team on the point to help out your allies, and to shut down highly mobile champs like Androxus from dashing away. It's also nice because it makes landing your shots a lot easier. Going from 40 damage to 52 damage is much less important than all the things I previously mentioned.
I have a different... No, the sky just hit me the whole time.
Well guys, this is it. I hope you enjoyed this and have a better idea of what Evie's supposed to do now. As long as there's interest, I'll keep making content like this. I use views, subscribers, likes, and comments as a way to gauge this, of course.
Bummer.
I appreciate any and all feedback, especially the constructive kind, and thanks for watching. See you next time.